you have to define who source is to you. I know a lot of, and I'm going to include my content. I know a lot of law of attraction content is very vague. We say source energy, and source energy is fine, but you have to know what source energy means to you if that's the path you choose to walk. And I know this as a person who has taken on religion. I'm not going, I'm not going to say that. I don't believe that any one religion is right. I believe Jesus Christ was a real person, but I don't believe that any one religion is right. That being said, every person has the opportunity to gravitate towards which set of religion works for them. Some's really strict, some's really lax, right? It's whatever works for you. But I'm getting to a point where I do not think I could tell people anymore that they can just manifest but not know who source is. You have to know who source is because you have to trust source. You have to know who God is because you have to trust God. And you cannot trust someone that you do not know, that you do not have a relationship with. So, what really stood out about this first paragraph is so many of us subconsciously hold a belief that something somewhere is benefiting off of us living in scarcity because we hold so much resistance to getting more, to allowing more into our lives. And for any reason, we keep coming back to this idea that, oh, well, this is just the way it's supposed to be. When we say, oh, this is just the way it's supposed to be, to me, that's subconsciously saying that a God or something is benefiting off of me living in scarcity. And that should not even be a feeling in our bodies because it's such an illusion, it's such a lie. In nature, everything we see is working towards the evolution of humanity, the evolution of growth, the evolution of expansion. Nothing in nature goes backwards. Nothing in nature purposefully destroys the earth, right? That's all man-made stuff. That's all us. So if we can look at nature and say, okay, the way that things naturally are, everything is working towards expansion and prosperity and abundance, then we need to know that we are humans and we are a part of nature. Because we're so smart, we think we're not, right? But no, we're trees. We are a part of nature ourselves. So if we're a part of nature ourselves, just like this book is saying, shouldn't it be natural that we are expanding and growing? And if we're not, where's the resistance coming from? It's not God, it's us. And this is something that we've all talked about already, but good reminders. Okay. We are subject to the urge of life, seeking expression, whichever drives us on to know more, do more, and be more. So that aligns again with us being a part of nature and wanting to expand and wanting to grow. But I also want to talk about yoga in this quote. So I'm going to read the quote again and then explain. We are subject to the urge of life, seeking expression, whichever drives us on to know more, do more, and be more. Specifically within yoga, I'm speaking about the asanas and I'm also speaking about meditation. But after a person has been practicing yoga for a certain amount of time, if you'd like to speak to this, I would love to hear. After you've been practicing for a certain amount of time, this beautiful natural process happens where if you have like a favorite asana, when it comes up in your practice, there is a physical want to feel it deeper every single time. Can y'all relate? But when we talk about meditation, it's the same exact thing, but I cannot speak for everyone in the group because trauma can impede this. But when you get to a certain place of safety within your meditation, it's almost like, ooh, this is hard to articulate. It's almost like there's a world inside of you that you start to intentionally explore. But I think that it takes a lot of consistent meditation to get to that point where you know you're no longer a person sitting in silence and stillness, but you become a person in this non-physical place. And it's a practice of deepening yourself in that internal reality. I really got to watch myself because I feel like I get to crazy babble really quick. The reason I bring up the asana and the reason I bring up meditation is based on this quote. I feel like this is a wonderful opportunity when we're practicing and when we're meditating to use muscle memory to remember that natural feeling of expansion. When you're practicing yoga and you feel how that pose is a little bit more, how your skeleton is a little more aligned and how your body is naturally it's supporting itself just a little bit more, using muscle memory to remember how that moment feels when you discover that. And when you're meditating and you meditate for a little bit longer than usual, or you feel a little more disconnect from the body and a little more into that ethereal realm, that is expansion. That is expansion. And when we understand how expansion feels, we become more aware of how contraction feels, right? And a beautiful synchronicity for me this week was I was talking to my mentor, and my mentor is actually a Christian. So we had this really nice conversation about how a lot of people who don't believe that Christ is who he says he is just say that Christ has a high vibration. But then we were saying that Christ is the high vibration. And then I was like, well, if Christ is the high vibration, what is everything beneath love, peace, expansion, and all the higher stuff? Like, what is everything beneath there? Where's the line? Like, how does that work? And then I remembered this quote: there are or all thoughts come from one of two places, either love or fear. All thoughts come from one of two places, either love or fear. So it either comes from love or it either comes from fear. And then when I was watching Soulful Sunday, there was a reverend on there and he was saying that thought is coming from the house of love or that thought is coming from the house of fear. And we are the ones who complicate life. But the simplicity of that, the simplicity of that, it's either coming from love or it's coming from fear. We're all big kids. We can figure it out. We can look at our thoughts and say, where is this coming from? And it just made me happy. Just made me a happy girl.